Welcome to the Pizza Party. My name is Troy from troysweb.com. Visit my website for links to other YouTube channels that I am currently working on. Today I'm going to show you how to turn a $4.21 take and bake pizza into art. And really it's a $9 pizza, but it had a sell by date that was, Sunday. And I picked it up on a Sunday, brought it home and cooked it. That was a year ago for this particular pizza and this video and the photos in this video. So anyway, I might be embellishing a little bit about making art at this point, but that is my future goal, is to make really badass pizzas. And I'm encouraging you to fool around, find out, do it yourself, and start doing something even if it's wrong. You're going to hear that a lot in a lot of videos. I'm going to repeat it because some people aren't going to watch every video, so they'll never have heard that I encourage you to do it yourself, fool around, find out, do something even if it's wrong. So there you go. I know I'm repetitive. It's a requirement. So anyway, yeah, I might be embellishing that I'm making art at this point, but I will be making art pizza in the future. So let me know in the comments what you think. Here is the pizza while it was in the oven, and by the time I took this photo, turned around, grabbed the baking sheet with tin foil, grabbed it's on the cooling rack already for this photo, and then grabbed the mitten so I could take it out. Boom, it got really well done, let's say. So anyway, I had some tomato, basil, garlic sauce. That's spaghetti sauce, essentially, not pizza sauce. So I added a bunch of pizza seasonings, more Italian seasoning, oregano, basil, and some fennel seed. I overdid it on the fennel seed. I love crushed red pepper. I had minced garlic. I used minced garlic because I didn't have granulated garlic, nor did I have garlic powder on hand when I made this pizza. Otherwise, I would say use those things. So you can see here in the right-hand side, it's normally about a $9 pizza, but it was on sale for half price because, it was hitting its expiration date. We have a Blackstone in the background, and so I took a pound of ground beef, threw it on a piece of parchment paper, and used my burger smasher, which is nothing more than a Pyrex dish, a Pyrex bowl. You can even fit a 9x9 Pyrex into this skillet. But I wanted to get a good sear on the meat. You can see the piece in the center didn't really get a sear, but I smashed it down, and I'm also using a non-stick skillet. So if I was doing this on cast iron, which would have been the preferred method, or should have been my method, it would have been better. But like I said, I smashed my patties. I seasoned the hell out of them to get something more Italian sausage-like than ground beef. I added a little too much fennel. It's very strong stuff. Be cautious. Don't add a lot. I took the fennel, I put it in a Ziploc bag, a heavy freezer bag, and then I took a Pyrex bowl and I pounded on it, or my Pyrex measuring cup, whatever. I took a piece, something heavy, and pounded on it to turn it into, it doesn't turn into powder. It just turns into cracked seeds. But, from one full seed, I now have 4 little fragments, and it's easier to sprinkle and lightly flavor your meat instead of heavily flavoring the meat like I did. You'll notice I kept my meat away from the edge because this is kind of like a pile of snow around the edges and a pile of rocks, the meat. The cheese is the snow around the edges, and the meat is like boulders on a mountain. And when the snow melts, the boulders fall down. So in order to keep that from happening, which it's happened to me before, and this is why I'm keeping my meat a little away from the edge, it didn't really spread that much in this case, but that cheese, as it melts, will spread just like melted snow, and then it allows the meat crumbles to tumble off the edge or down into the bottom of the oven, and that's not good. Another way that I've been trying to make pizza is put my ingredients on and then cover everything with cheese so that as the cheese melts, it glues all the particles together, all these crumbles of meat and any kind of olives and peppers and so forth. Now, speaking of that, this was the take and bake pizza, which we're going to read the label. Pizza topped with mild Italian sausage, sliced pepperoni, bell peppers, black olives, and onions. That's in the top right hand corner of the screen. And then when you get to here, You can see down at the edge. Here's a black olive. Here's a green pepper. Here's a red pepper. There's onions. There's pepperonis and stuff underneath. My extra layer of cheese. My extra layer of ground beef Italian sausage. You can also see that I've sauced it up before I put my cheese down. And there's another way. Like I've tried a couple of different methods, and I encourage you to do the same. Do it yourself. Fool around and find out. Do something, even if it's wrong. You're going to learn that this worked and this didn't. There's a guy on YouTube. I can't remember his name. It'll pop into my head while we're talking. But he did a video about burger stacking order. And what they did was they went and bought like 5 cheeseburgers from 5 different fast food joints. And they disassembled them and wrote down the stacking order, the assembly method. The bottom bun, then a piece of cheese, then the lettuce, then the tomato, then the mayonnaise, then the burger, then the cheese, then the top bun. Or then the pickles, then the top bun. The next burger over from that, it was bread. They put the burger directly on the bread. Then they put down their cheese. Then they put all the cold condiments on top of that. Then they put on the top bun. Then there was a third and a fourth and a fifth methodology, or way that those different restaurants assemble a Whopper versus a Quarter Pounder versus a Wendy's cheeseburger versus maybe Five Guys or something else. And it was fascinating because he talks about the fact that if you grab the burger, the way it's stacked, the first thing that touches your tongue, where the majority of your taste buds are, is going to be that piece of bread. So if that piece of bread had mayonnaise and cheese on it, then you had the burger. The burger is going to be, a very strong flavor because it's the largest mass quantity of material on the burger. It's a fascinating little video. Food theory. It's a food theory. Yeah, that guy. Burger stack order. Now, I've been experimenting with that concept on my take and bake pizzas. I've bought a take and bake pizza. I put down sauce, then cheese, then meat. In another instance, I put down cheese, then I put sauce on the cheese, then I put my meat, then I put another layer of cheese to hold the meat together. Well, and I might have had green onions, and I might have had, green peppers and onions. I do like onions and peppers, and pepperonis even. But if I'd have done, so then when you add pepperonis, that's yet another stacking layer. And I would always put my pepperoni on top of that top layer of cheese. And sometimes I would let it bake halfway, then I would throw the pepperonis on. Otherwise, they risk cupping really hard or potentially scalding or burning. Not really burning, but charring a little bit more than I want. So another method I've tried is with some of my more recent pizzas. I went ahead and took a pizza crust and I put down layers of sliced cheese provolone as a membrane. So then when I put then when I put sauce and meat, and then I topped that with crumbled cheese or shredded cheese or torn mozzarella balls, I came out with a much different pizza, just in terms of texture and stuff. My ingredients are all basically the same, right? A green pepper's a green pepper, an onion's an onion, and then the tomato sauce. I'm not always using ragu. A lot of times I'm using roasted tomatoes that I pulled out of my garden, threw in the oven, roasted them. They got a little char on them. They look beautiful. I threw them in a mason jar. I shook them up. Sometimes if I had bell peppers coming in from the garden, the peppers went in there with them. And I also diced up some onion from the store because I'm not growing onions in the garden. But I made, some wonderful tomato sauce, my own pizza sauce. And then I added the Italian seasonings, some oregano and some basil and a little bit of fennel here and there. But what I'm trying to stress at this point is stacking order, right? You've got the crust. You can do whatever you want when you have a raw crust. You can throw in like a New York style pizza is sauce first, a thin layer of cheese, and that's it. Okay, I like a thick layer of cheese. Keep in mind that it's going to change the balance of the flavor of the pizza entirely. If you double the amount of cheese, but you don't double the amount of sauce, it's going to taste different. It's not going to taste the same, right? If you have half as much sauce and twice as much cheese, it's going to be a very cheesy pizza, cheese-flavored pizza. And if you go with putting down a layer of a pizza crust, and then a layer of sliced provolone or sliced mozz, and then you add your sauce on top of that, and then you add your meat on top of that, and then more cheese on top of that, or your peppers and onions, and then more cheese on there, because you want that top layer of cheese. I have come to decide that that's my preferred stacking order: is crust, sliced cheese, then my sauce, then my ingredients like the bell peppers and onions, mushrooms, and sausage. Then top that with a layer of mozz, crumbled or shredded or grated or torn clumps of different mozz. If you got dry mozz, if you got skim milk mozz, whole milk mozz, or wet mozz, there's like lots of different mozzarellas, and I encourage you to experiment with everything. Fool around and find out. Do it yourself. Do something even if it's wrong. If it comes out poorly, I'm not going to say it comes out bad. Everything you make is going to be edible unless you burn the hell out of it. So, blah, 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 blah. I think I've given you enough information on this particular one picture. But you notice that I arranged the volcano shape because my cheese around the edge will typically melt. Sometimes it has oozed over the edge if there's ground beef on top of that, or pepperonis on top of that. Sometimes they slide off the edge, end up on the bottom of the oven. It does not smell good in the house. Notice I have a cookie sheet underneath this, a baking sheet underneath my grill, my grate, because I was hoping to catch any potential excess. I loaded this thing with cheese, but notice I stayed away from the center with the meat because I don't want tip droop. When you cut this into triangles, that tip of each piece will droop and any ingredients will fall off it. So if it's just cheese, then you're not going to lose any meat, and you're going to scoop it up off your plate anyway with your fingers and eat it, because that's how we do pizza. So here it is as it came out of the oven after I jacked around, took a photo, and got a mitten, oven mitt to remove it from the oven. It got a little extra done, but honest to God, I'm here to tell you, that's not a burned pizza. That's a charred pizza. That cheese has changed into almost a frico, Frico, which is fried cheese. It's crunchy, and then the bite next to it is squishy, right? Is melty. Man, I'm here to tell you that was a very, very good pizza. So, hope you learned something. Hope you keep coming back. Hope you'll stick around for videos on some of these topics that are coming up. I also hope you will subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a positive comment. You can click that share button and send this to friends on text messaging, Facebook, email. The share button is really, really useful. You can send it straight to Instagram or whatever's some other social media stuff. Thanks for watching the video, and hope you keep coming back.